Welcome back, everyone, to the second series of the day here in the D2CL Chinese group stages. We've got CDEC going up against Newbee, and this should be a good one. The earlier game, LGD clean sweeping 2-0 up against their opponents, VGP. So we'll see how CDEC do. You know, these are the two teams that came through the qualifiers, or the pre-qualifiers, to see how well they're doing. And now they're playing with the big dogs. They're playing with the strongest teams in China, pretty much. Let's head over to the draft. Welcome in Scat, my co-commentator. What's going on?
Yeah, CDEC, a team that had to qualify to be here, but it's a bit of a strange situation because before all the transfers, CDEC was definitely one of the top dog Chinese teams, and losing their star player and their coach in early January, they got rid of 333, and then Mikasa, their coach, was standing in, and then recently when maybe joined LGD, Mikasa went with as the coach, so they've added Shiki and XZ, who, you know, we're going to have to see how they do in the team, but at the same time, Newbee, they've also had some roster changes. Hao went and joined Beachy Gaming, and they got June as a replacement. And a lot of people thought that June was underperforming beforehand, but I don't know. I've heard some positive things about him too. I've seen him farm really well. He had a great game on Timbersaw against that Wisp Tiny combo recently. I think that was against HGT. And I've heard people like Aoi2000 give a lot of praise to June about the fact that he just gets farm out of nowhere in the offlane.
Yeah.
So both of these teams still adjusting to roster changes. So interesting to see how this match goes.
Well, we'll see what they pick up now. Clockwork and Lion, the first picks from CDEC, while Juggernaut and Vengeful Spirit from Newbee. So CDEC start off with some great initiation. Banning out heroes like Chen and Broodmother, though, is a little bit unusual. Sure enough, you know, you've got someone like Sansheng, you've got Banana, who are very good Chen players in their own right, but the Broodmother pick ban out there, is that targeted against June?
I guess it has to be, right? I mean, it could just be that they think it's a difficult hero to deal with, and you know, don't want to have to make a plan for Broodmother, and that's what you have to do. Even teams that beat Broodmothers, as a result of planning around it, it's a frustrating hero to deal with, even if you have a hero that can deal with it, because you have to constantly think about it all game. So it could be about June, it could just be like, we don't like being against Broodmother, we'll take it out.
If we've already got the odds stacked against us, why would we want to, you know, have our attention diverted to a lane where we don't really want to be, you know, putting one hero, like you said, you've got to try and address that Broodmother at some stage in the game, whether it's early kills, mid-game pressure onto her tier 1, tier 2 tower, or just ganging her over and over again. But the Broodmother is great at creating space for other heroes on her team, just by being a presence on the map. So CDEC, they go with the Morphling, while Newbee picked up the Queen of Pain beforehand. Their fourth pick now. They've still got a support open. They're off-laner. Never quite sure what they're going to go for, but I was just about to say, with Chinese teams, so often, and I think it was you that was saying this yesterday or the day before, they like to leave the fifth pick as support sometimes, which we just don't see in European Dota at all.
Yeah, it happens a whole lot more in Chinese Dota than anywhere else, and I mean, I think there's some insight there, because sometimes it's very important that one of your support heroes be specifically tailored to the enemy team's draft. If you have a support hero which is good at dealing with what they're doing, it's going to make your heroes more relevant scaling into the late game. Usually your cores will be relevant anyway, because your cores are getting a lot of gold. Whereas your supports, if they're not heroes that are directly effective against the enemy lineup, as the game goes later and later, they become less and less relevant.
Yeah, now CDEC, they've got offlaner and their one-role hero. Lion, a pretty good support, but it feels like you need something, I don't know, something that can move around the map. Because you want to create Morphling space in the first 15 to 20 minutes, allow him to farm up his Lincolns, get up into those items. Clockwork can do that once, you know, hits level 6, 7, 8. Oh.
What's a lich? So
they're going to do it the opposite way. Instead of actually moving around the lanes, they're going to try and hold the lanes back and maybe duel it here?
yeah, because I was actually thinking they need a better hero than Lion to zone out the offlane Tyrantser. But now that I see the Lich, I agree with you. I mean, very often when we see the Lich and Morphling picked up in China, that's a dual lane mid. It could be a dual lane mid, or alternatively, I suppose Lich can go Clockwork in the offlane. But I think, to me, Lich and Morphling, especially being picked together, is a sign that they're going to be a dual lane mid. And the question I just ask is then, which core do they pick that deals with Tyrantser well? Because Lion as a support on its own does not handle Tyrantser very well. Tyrantser will get tons of value out of that lane.
Do you want to go a ranged hero against Tide? Because I've seen Axe versus Tide 1v1 matchups, and it's relatively even. Axe generally comes out on top slightly in those lanes. You know, Anchor Smash is annoying early on, but you get into the creep wave and you spin. You make it so that Tide can't actually get last hits too often. It's a possibility, but I don't think they need more initiation.
Heroes I've seen doing really well against the Tide Hunter in the safe lane include Leshrac, if they want to run that core Leshrac. There's Gyrocopter, although that's not so popular recently. You know, heroes that can really get some magical damage harass onto the Tide Hunter so that he can't just block all of that with his Anchor Smash and Kraken Shell.
Oh, the Ember banned out by Newbee, while CDEC banned out the Rasta. We've got a Newbee Enchantress.
Yeah, and here's another reason to leave a support pick to the last pick of the draft, because if you're running a jungler and you pick it early on, it's a lot easier for the other team to adjust their draft accordingly. You pick your jungler as the last pick in the draft, then they couldn't be like, oh, we know they're jungling, we're aggressive tri-lane, or I mean, think about it, look right here, it's totally impossible for CDEC to aggressive tri-lane, and that's one way that people sometimes respond to junglers.
Yeah, definitely. And Enchantress is a really annoying hero up against Morphling. Morphling wants to try and get in some right clicks in between Waveform and Adaptive Strike, but if Ench goes for the passive early on, which, you know, we're starting to see the sort of 4-2-0 build sometimes from European teams where you just don't go for the heal, you don't go for the Nature's Attendants, you become this really difficult to deal with hero that you have to nuke down. So you have to waste spells, nukes, disables on Enchantress, which would be, you know, better suited to killing off Queen of Pain or Juggernaut. So she's very good at drawing in abilities. She's a squishy damage sink, which is kind of weird, but the impetus can't be understated. Can kill heroes like Lich and Lion, no problem whatsoever.
And she can steal replicates. So that's a pretty useful thing to be able to do if Morphling's trying to, like, I don't know, have a backup plan and then fight accordingly. But Enchantress in general, I feel like is a pickup that's based around your early game rotations, what you want to do in the early game. And sure enough, Queen of Pain and Juggernaut are both cores that come online super early on. Okay, so Slark is a melee core, but it actually is one of the better ones, I think, against Tide Hunter if you're going to have a melee core. If you manage to just steal, like, get a bunch of hits with your passive onto the Tide Hunter, that can be very effective. Also, there is a potential for killing the Tide Hunter sometimes because you have that really long disable, well, pseudo-disable early on in the game.
Yeah, you just need one level in Dark Pact to try and debuff the Anchor Smash, then you've got Pounce for the disable, which can lock the Tide Hunter in place. But the Essence Shift, if we see that level 1, we definitely know how aggressively this Slark's going to be playing. Running at the Tide Hunter, stealing his stats, and maybe even getting some kills. I think our lovely IT man Christian has fixed the problem, because the CPU usage is no longer, you know, 10 million %, and we are local recording.
Oh, that's really cool. It's good to know.
So we'll definitely have that for game number 2.
I want to see, was that right? Are Morphling and Lich going to run to this mid lane? I think they will. Yeah, it's got to be Lion and Slark safe lane. Yeah, and it'll be an off lane clock there. So on the other side, Mew going to the safe. Well, actually, I'm not sure. Rabbit should be in the safe lane, shouldn't he? Yeah, Mew will be going mid on the Queen of Pain, I'm pretty sure. And it's just going to be a safe tri lane. Well, a safe dual lane with an Enchantress who will be bots in mid, I suppose. Probably not in that top lane.
What is this? June? He's got all sorts of funky stuff. Look at his Tide items. He's got spikes, he's got the genuine Claddish Cudgel. Immortal genuine weapon, that's pretty nice.
He looks pretty scary. I mean, I guess that's his intention, and I feel like it's working.
I would not want to deal with him, but Slark, even though he's a little fish man, he's going to do decently up against their Tide Hunter. So let's go over these teams. Newbee, Enchantress played by Banana, up on the top lane. We've seen June and his lovely cosmetics on their Tide Hunter. Sunshine on his bot Ventral Spirit, supporting a Juggernaut played by Rabbit, while Moo is standing on that rune spot, playing the Queen of Pain. Down in bot lane we have XZ on the Clockwork, he's going to be, you know, minding his own business, blocking off the creeps, trying to get as much experience as he can, while Q playing the Lich towards mid with Shiki on the Morphling, Garda playing the Lion, and top lane, where is he? Aggressive, playing the Slark.
It's going to be one rune apiece, fairly standard, and Newbee have had some struggles recently. They had an extremely disappointing DAC after, you know, winning TI4, and even in the last week, I think they won 2-1 versus HGT, and yesterday they won all drew against HGT, although HGT's been doing really well recently, so that shouldn't say that much. And a lot of people would say that losing Howl is a big loss for their team, but what it does open up is that Rabbit gets to play in his preferred role, because he was moving around, playing a lot of off-lane for them beforehand, and I think even though he can play 1, 2, or 3, he wants to be in the 1 position.
Yeah, it does seem to suit him very well. These lanes, how they're going to pan out, because Q is obviously going to be sacrificing creeps and denying one creep per wave, pretty much. Up against this Queen of Pain, it's not exactly one creep per wave. It's more like 0.7 or 0.8 creeps per wave, something along those lines. So he'll be able to take quite a bit of experience though away from the Queen of Pain, who can't really go up and do too much to this Morphling.
Yeah, I want to say that Clockwork's going to be getting quite a lot more than Clockwork would be getting more than Tyrant if not for the fact that Tyrant is in the Radiant off lane. And so it might end up being a bit even because Clockwork was using those sneaky little cog blocks where, he forced the creeps to be stuck in there. And so getting some XP onto his tower right away.
Dire warding, relatively defensive. No deep ward in the jungle, no laning ward really. They've got 2 wards on the rune spots. So spotting out for movements back and forth from mid. Moo trading hits there with Q. He knows that if he can get some damage down to the Lich, then he's going to really deter Q from doing this again. Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
June.
That's what I was talking about. It's a lane where Tyranta doesn't get zoned by Lion, but it is one where you can die to Slark and Lion together. And that's the way they're going to plan to deal with the Tyranta in this lane. Whereas Clockwork on the other side, there isn't really much of a plan to deal with him. If the Enchantress is not ganging him, he's usually going to be getting some kind of value in that lane.
XZ picks up an Invis rune and runs out. I think I'll have to stop the local recording. Hero denial? Morphling denies the Lich out there. Moo went in for the kill. Apologies, guys. Still trying to figure out some technical issues. The lag will stop now. I've turned off local recording. We'll just have to get all the VODs from Twitch. There's no point in that. But I apologize for missing any kills or any mistakes there in the first couple of minutes. Time to focus fully on the game now as Shiki jumps in onto Moo. The Queen of Pain taking quite a bit of sustained harass there, but you're looking at Rabbit. 14 for 5 down on this bot lane, just taking last hits as much as you can. Well, Banana?
He's moved to enemy jungle, but they scouted him out. Their observer ward saw him, and the Lich actually pinged him. I don't know if there's anything they can do to chase him out. I'm not sure if they can go there with the supports and kill him. But they're very aware he's there, so they're not going to be surprised by a gang from behind.
Yeah, not sure who we could really go on. Like, the Tidehunter isn't a great setup for a gang from Enchantress. Maybe you can kill the Lion with an Anchor Smash or something along those lines, but it's not that easy. Sansheng gonna get scattered out here by XZ, getting into the pull spot, and yep. Oh no, I thought he had managed to ruin that for Sansheng. He is gonna be a little more annoying though, just dragging the melee and range creep back and forth, getting last hits wherever he can.
Yeah, and this Radiant offlane we normally say is a lot easier than the Dire offlane, but last game we saw Yao's Timbersaw really
Banana found Q, the Lich is gonna go down. Moo does get the final hit in there, so this mid-dual lane, Shiki and Q, the Lich and Morphling is not working out that well. Because when you compare, experience gain, last hits and everything, Queen of Pain is now level 5. Queen of Pain, last hit-wise, she's not doing that great, 5 for 6, but she can catch up.
Yeah, just going back to what I was saying, last game we saw Yao's Timbersaw really struggle in the Radiant offlane. This game, the same thing has happened to June's offlane Tyrant, and in both cases where it was difficult to be zoned out, it was still easy to be killed. And I think that more and more that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the Dire safe lane try to build a combo that can kill the Radiant offlaner, and then not allow them to get advantage from the fact that, okay, you can't zone me, I can use this pool now. And Tyranta June has actually moved to the jungle at a very early stage in the game, which is not ideal, though there were some stacks made for him. So he's getting quite a few levels. He farmed a stack previously at the small camp, and trying to farm this stack, but it's not going to be able to finish it right now, I think. Not with that one Anchor Smash.
Now, Banana's
I guess.
Banana's Enchantress build, he doesn't usually go for the Midas, does he? It's quite often he treads Urn and things like that. He's got Brown Boost to start things off, but treads Urn is what I'm expecting here from him. I don't know if he's going to diverge and pull out something funky. Usually just go for the stock standard, don't really mess mess around with things too early in the game.
Yeah, I'm not too sure actually. It's been too long since I've seen. I've been watching so much Western Dota. Mid lane is some kind of catch.
He's got a haste rune. He gets stunned up though. A couple more right clicks might seal the deal, but bottle and strength morph gonna allow him to escape.
Yeah, so Banana sending that Wild Ringer up for mid just to really annoy. Throw out that tornado. make it difficult to lane up against. And there was actually a smoke used on the dire side there with the Lich and the Lion, but ending up amounting to pretty much nothing because they ended up trying to react to the action mid, getting there too late, and then Lich hangs around, Lion goes back top.
Right. I have informed all of the relevant people. Now I can focus on the game. Now we can focus. So, Newbee, you know, their laning phase has gone decently here. The Slark is leading in last hits, just about. Well, he's 6 denies ahead of the Juggernaut. But Rabbit keeping up the pace. While Morphling 24 for 4 is doing pretty damn well towards mid. But his item progression, what do we expect from him? Because there are so many things you can go on a Morphling. You can go for the early Lincolns and try and build up that way. But there isn't really too much you want to dodge. What, Magic Missile? Maybe the Orchid from Mu? Is this a straight BKB game? Because that was definitely a Chinese build we saw a lot of, where you go straight into the BKB and start fighting. Then maybe an E-Blade later on. Midas is possible. Stats builds definitely are very common nowadays, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a Manta straight up from him. The world is his oyster.
The E-Blade build seems less popular since E-Blade got nerfed and isn't instant anymore, meaning there's a time to respond to it if you see the projectile. Although the bursty build is quite good against a hero like Enchantress, who's going to have low HP pretty much for the entire game. I think for the Morphling at this stage, it might just depend on how quickly he gets that farm. He needs to not die, and he needs to, you know, ramp up his farm and then see, okay, it's now 10 or 12 minutes, this is how much gold I have, here's a reasonable progression I could go for.
Well, they do have someone in the Slark that can create that space for them. He's going for the pretty regular treads into a Ring of Aquila. Next, you know, it depends what he wants to do. If they do want to create space for over the next 15 minutes or so for Morphling to build up into some bigger items, he could go for a Shadow Blade, go for a Blink, skip out the Midas and just go and fight and brawl constantly. But the two supports they've got, Lich isn't that active. Lion is quite aggressive as a support. He's got double disable. Once he hits level 6, he has the Finger of Death as well, obviously. But the Lich is quite a static one. Shadow Strike going to go down to the queue. The Blink's already been thrown out by Mu, though. Running out of mana now as you get his stats drained by aggressive. The first to fall is the Lich, but they're going to find the Queen of Pain in return. Shiki stunned up. The Strength Morph is going to keep him alive for a little bit longer, but I don't think Newbee can actually find anything else here. The Gush? Okay, maybe with Rabbit. Maybe with Rabbit. Omni Slash just to finish him off. And aggressive should be able to just pounce up over the cliff. Dog Pact, pounce. Yeah, he's... Oh, that was looking a little bit close. If he got caught in that little area there where he didn't clip over the cliff, he probably dies.
So, Rabbit TPing mid, managing to help them finish off the Morphling, but it has left the Clockwork alone bot for a while. He's going to be able to get that bot trainer, and he's probably going to get his level 6 off this Aswald. Now that he sees the Omni Slash is down, he'll be able to freely walk into his lane. And he should get his level 6 well ahead of Tidehunter getting his level 6. Even though Tidehunter's been able to farm jungle.
Yeah, net worth-wise, the Slark is leading the board there. 0-0-3, no kills to his name, but he's got a couple of assists, and he's farming pretty well. Up on this top lane.
The Slark's going for Drum.
Okay. So he's going for the smaller stats build, which is going to allow him to be that little bit more... You know, he's going to live up to his name, be more aggressive. It's quite nice that he's got that name. They're giving space to Garda up on top to hit that level 6, so there definitely is this timing where Slark will get his stat items, Lion hits level 6, and then maybe they run around as 3 with the Clockwork. Because Clockwork's in level 6 as well.
Yeah. I'm just watching Rabbits because I think we cast again the other day where Ditcharaf and Power Rangers was just Juggernaut farming well, got his Mask of Madness and I think one more item, and then all of a sudden just like started making kill after kill after kill after kill. Juggernauts can do that. They can come online and all of a sudden just be impossible to deal with.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure Slark can do that for his team, but Juggernaut is just as potent, if not more potent, if he comes out of lane with 1 or 2 items early on in the game.
Yeah, I think the one difference here is though that Ditchira quite often heavily pushes the lane into the tower. Does damage to the tower, but clears out the creep wave, and then goes into the jungle. Because as the Juggernaut, you know, you can go back to the jungle, take down 2 creep camps, and then return back to lane. So he effectively doubles his farm. Rabbit hasn't been doing this, he's moved towards mid lane, so it's not going to be that early sudden hit where Juggernaut gets in there and kills a bunch of people. Sunshine going to get pounced on, doesn't quite latch, but they've got enough damage. They've got the magic burst, and one more right click. No, not quite. Sunshine is surviving a lot longer than he really should have.
Well, in the end they get the kill, and Rabbit's TPing up there again. If he doesn't find a kill, he's going to regret this TP. And it doesn't look like he will.
Mo and Banana are both here. They could turn this into a push on the top lane. There's also this Lion running around on top. Level 6, but his HP pool is pretty damn low. I just keep looking back at this Lich though. A couple of minutes ago he didn't have brown boots, so he's going to be happy that he has some mobility now with the boots, just able to run around. But this is a hero. Without farm, he's going to be a free kill. He is food.
Look at the top lane. I don't know if Newbee know about that ward, but Banana used the smoke much further down and managed to get some value hopefully out of Rabbit that having TP'd up here. And
Well, who does he go for? Omni Slash is ready, he's just going to spin away. Doesn't want to get stunned or fingered. The stun now onto Slark though. Dark Pact is on cooldown. They'll get the impetus damage and Finger of Death. Yeah, they're going to finish off Rabbit before he can Omni. The Clockwork's here to lock down Banana. This was a good turnaround. Garda standing as close as he can to that Enchantress, so the impetus damage doesn't kill him, and Sansheng.
you're gonna be a 3 for 0 for the side of CDEC, and I think that the fact that Liner just got level 6 and the number of heroes there meant that maybe Newbee were just overforcing it. That's the sense I get, is that Rabbit TP'd up and wanted to join the fight, was too late, and then it was kind of like, well, we gotta do something now that our Juggernaut's here, like otherwise it's just such a sunk cost that he TP'd all the way up there. And they smoked for some kills and it got totally turned around on them.
Yeah, I think another big deal was the fact that Rabbit was so far ahead of his team. He had to use Spin to be defensive, and then the rest of his team came in as that wave, but he couldn't Omni Slash. There was no opportunity to get Omni Slash down to Lion or any of the squishy heroes. Slark was there, like, yeah, I've got Shadow Dance, I've got Dark Pact and Pounce. Try it. Try it, Rabbit. But he couldn't. Shiki is now in the jungle, just farming up. He's going for that stats build as well. Ring of Aqua, Treads. Next item, you know, it's still up in the air. While XZ getting his levels up as well. Level 8 now on this Clockwork. In fact, looking at levels, 10 on Slark. You've got 9 and 8 on the Juggernaut and Quap. Middle of the table, you know, it's pretty even. But it's down at the bottom where the Lich all of a sudden, with this sacrifice, has managed to find himself back in the game. He was lagging behind massively, but now it's the Venge, who really wishes she had some XP.
Well, at least Vengeful Spirits is not the most item or level dependent support. She wants to get to 6. And beyond that, her next milestone is basically just 11, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you know, level 3 Wave of Terror is pretty good. A couple of levels up in the Vengeance Aura, but early on it looks like she's going for the Magic Burst with the Magic Missile. They want to try and kill Morphling or, you know, anyone. Slark, I think, is probably one of the bigger targets just to keep him locked down for that extended duration, so you can pump out as much damage as possible.
Yeah, and this Morphling is getting to the stage where he's going to start having to make a big decision about his item progression. I think in the next couple of minutes we'll see what he might buy, which will be the start of his first major item.
Yeah. We're yet to see a Ravage, though. I don't believe he's actually cast it quite yet. 13.5 minutes in, June hasn't been in a position to help his team out. Where was he when that fight was breaking out on top?
Farming the jungle? I'm not sure.
Because the Ravage there would have been amazing.
I just say that because he's been generally farming the jungle most of the game, and there's actually going to be a smoke from CDEC heading to this bot lane.
Yeah.
Lion's ulti is up again. Lich's ulti as well. The burst damage is pretty huge. If they get a Hex off on Rabbit, he will die. Absolutely.
Rocket Flare. Who are they going to hookshot? They know where Sansheng is, so they're going to go in for him first. Garno with the Earth Spike. The poor old Vengeful Spirit still not level 6. So there's no swap out.
Okay, I was saying Lion's ulti's back up. Lion has Blink Tagger.
He's 401.
I mean, he just used that Blink Dagger to get onto... Wow, this is going to be a pretty dominant Lion at this stage in the game. Every time his ulti's up, that's probably going to be a kill. And even without his ulti, if he's pairing up the right heroes, that Blink Dagger is going to make them kills.
Yeah, it opens up the map for Slark a little bit as well. Because this was the pairing that I was saying. Slark and Lion can go around just hunting people down. And now with a Blink Dagger for the Lion to set up with a Hex and Earth Spike, that Pounce is never going to miss.
If we look at the net worth, the Lion is only just behind the Queen of Pain at the moment.
400 gold behind. What's Quap actually building into? Okay. Regular old Orchid.
Yeah. Orchid, I mean, it has a lot of applications in this game. Sometimes it helps to kill Slark, although that can also backfire if the timing's wrong and he gets packed off. And it can also help against the Morphling, of course. Pretty good versus Lion, I suppose.
Yeah, it gives him lots of killing potential with a Sonic Wave. I think Clockwork may be the only hero that can survive through it with the Strength Threads, and Buckler doesn't really give you too much tankiness against magic damage, but, you know.
And we were talking last game about how in this meta it seems like agility and strength heroes just all go S and Y. We were talking about the TA, and Looks like aggressive Slark is actually going to be going S and Y in this game.
Oh, that's nice. It's a really good early game item. It means that you are, you're tanky enough without having to go BKB. You're agile enough, and you've got enough damage without going for something like, a Shadow Blade or a Basher. It's just a great all-round item on Slark without really committing to one of those other tier 3, tier 4 expensive items. It's also got that really nice slow build-up. So if you do get picked off, you're not going to be sitting there wishing, ah, crap. I had 2,000 gold. I could have had Blink Dagger in a couple hundred gold, or I was 200 gold off Shadow Blade.
Yeah, so I agree. I think it's going to do a lot of work, especially the position Slark finds himself in this game. And in the meantime, on the other side, Banana did go for the build you suggest, the trades into Earn. Vengeful Spirit has got to level 6 finally. But yeah, the gold graph certainly curving in favor of CDEC quite a lot at the early stage in the game. And CDEC looking to be in control, and Shiki has actually picked up that Ghost Scepter. He is going to go for the Ethereal Blade, and maybe that has to do with the fact that they are in the driver's seat. I'm not so sure, because I feel like it did lose quite a lot of popularity for a while after the nerf.
Well, there were a couple of nerfs. Morphling's nerfs, I feel, were the more important ones. The fact that you could no longer cast spells or right-click during waveform, and you couldn't actually do anything during waveform. But now you can chain things up again properly, where you wave, E-Blade, and Adaptive Strike all during that waveform. That it's not as bad as it used to be. Because, they nerfed Morphling, and then they nerfed E-Blade straight afterwards. Pretty much. The Blink's out, he's going to take down the... Oh, he's not! Banana gets the deny, and Shiki going to try and bail. Sansheng can't get in range for the swap, and it looks like a good deny there from the Enchantress. Takes a little bit of gold away from CDEC, but they still get that pressure on the map. Yeah,
and this is something I feel like Cloud9, I don't want to say Cloud9 because it's actually Aoi. I don't know if you've watched any of those videos he made. He talks about a lot in those videos, the farming efficiency of core players, and I feel like he'd be very critical of Rabbit if he was watching this game, because Rabbit keeps TPing out of his lane and not really getting much done. The one time he did manage to kill Morphling, but beyond that, the other two TPs have ended in either nothing or himself dying. Okay, he's got this ancient stack, so is he strong enough to farm it? The healing ward enough here? The Master Commander?
Yes, just about. He's got 2 levels in crit, so if he's lucky, he'll clear through it pretty quickly. But talking about farming efficiency, the Slark is like the opposite end of the spectrum. Because he's been stacking and farming this large camp with Dark Pact. He's been jumping around between lanes. Oh, aggressive. Speaking of Slark, he went for the Courier Snipe there. Might find Banana, jumps into him. Yep, Dark Pact popped. June has no mana for anything. 1 Anchor Smash and he's got no rounds left. Arcane Boots are coming off cooldown in 7 seconds. Aggressive jumps forward for the kill. But Rabbit might just say hello with the Omni Slash. That was good play. Shiki making the replicate so that there would be another obstacle for the Omni Slash to actually bounce back onto.
Yeah, and Rabbit's a bit scared of extending into the enemy team there. Although he doesn't know they're all there because the Clockwork and Lion are actually smoked up here. And I wondered, yeah, it looks like they're going bottom. Where are they going exactly? Are they just going for the tower? Okay. I thought they were going to go look for a hero who might come in, but there's no reason for any of Newbee's heroes to go bot right now, since the lane's pushing out. So they're just going to go and try and secure the tower themselves.
Yeah, and this is the timing hit. They've got Mech on the Clockwork, he's level 9, so they've got Initiation, they've got Sustain. Lich is level 10. This Lich! Hero levels. Lich is above halfway on this board. He was demolished and demoralized 6-7 minutes into the game. 10 minutes into the game, he barely had brown boots. Sacrifice. Yeah. I don't know. This Lich has somehow pulled off some dark magic and just been sacrificing everything everywhere.
He went to lane in the off lane for quite a while because the Clockwork started ganging, so he was getting solo XP from his sacrifices as well, and looks like Aggressive's going to make an aggressive move here. Good
blink from June, but Sansheng is going to be the one to pay. Banana walking into the danger zone. Throws that one right click. Oh, he's got that crappy animation spear. Aggressive, pounce, he's going to find Banana here. He's a little bit worried.
Looks still up on Clockwork.
Oh, who are they going to find? Rocket Flare down for Moo.
They doesn't have a TP.
They know roughly where he jumped. Oh, the rocket's not going to scout. Oh, it did! Garda blinks in. They just about saw him. Moo now going to get taken out by the nuke damage from CDEC. Did that rocket actually see him? Because it looked like...
I think what happened is they must have checked earlier that he didn't have a TP. I think the rocket didn't see him, but they're like, if he's not that side, he must be this side.
Yeah, so the rocket saw this area here, and they knew that he must be down in this box. Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is, I feel like some part of that is that they checked his inventory and saw he didn't have a TP scroll. And it shows what kind of value you can get out of that. Because if you think he has a TP, you might just assume he's out at that stage. Unless did he TP in at the start of that into the bot tower? Maybe that's what they saw. Maybe they saw him use the TP.
Entirely possible. I'm not too sure. But either way, good play from CDEC. Banana, why? Why do people use this Enchantress Spear? It throws out that projectile, and it doesn't land where it actually hits. Like, you can see the animation, the trail of the spear, landing where the trajectory goes. But oh man, in comes aggressive. They're going to try and find Sanchik here. Bounce not quite landing, but aggressive. I don't know. He a little bit hesitant there. Stuttered, stammered, ran back in.
Are you saying Banana's spear is paid to lose?
Yes.
Like that Mirana arrow that like makes it very obvious when it's about to hit.
Hey, I used that Mirana arrow. It's very pretty.
But it's also paid to lose, right?
Well, I don't know. I have issues with regular Mirana arrows where they just don't appear on my screen. Like, sometimes the server just refuses to create the model of the arrow. It flies through the fog and it's still invisible when it hits me.
So what I want to see is the Morphling's Ethereal Blade because it's coming very, very soon. And in the dominant position that CDEC are in right now, it could be a tipping point in the game. It could be that's where things just go too far. Though at the same time, Juna's got his Blink Dagger on Tidehunter, and you know, maybe if CDEC overforce things at the right time and Ravages up, we could see the game turning around. There's also going to be an Orchid on Moo coming up right now, and probably an item on Rabbit. Maybe he finishes his S and Y, I'm not too sure.
But the thing is, we were talking about this Orchid on Moo and how it can, you know, solo kill the Slark possibly if it doesn't get his Dark Pact off, but he's getting super tanky. And with BKB maybe being, like, he could go Blink here, could go BKB, there's obviously lots of options for him, maybe even Skadi, but it's going to be harder and harder to kill, and he goes for the Blink, okay?
Yeah.
The Morphling...
At this point, the Orchid's going to try and catch Lion, I think. I think if he catches Lion out before he uses spells, it'll be great.
That's what I was going to come to. Lion was going to be my final point, but since you brought it up, Lion almost has a Yule's completed. So the Orchid isn't going to kill him.
Okay, so is it Lich? Do you silence Lich?
What's the point, though? This is the thing. With this Orchid, who is your target? Okay, it has to be Morphling.
Yeah, Morphling's got an Ethereal Blade though, so it's gonna be difficult to finish off unless you can do it all with spell damage. So I guess if you Orchid him and then he goes Ethereal and uses all your nukes.
Hookshot up on top. They found they found Rabbit on this Juggernaut. Finish him off with the Finger of Death. Aggressive was chasing him down, which is why his name popped into my head. But then the spin TP from Rabbit looked like it was going to be just enough. Exit TP's in and Hookshot's away.
Do you know why? I'm just looking at the banners for the teams, and you know, like at the top with their names, all the banners actually. CDEC still has LGD written on their banner, but it was my understanding that they became completely independent of LGD.
I don't know.
Because I mean, recently LGD actually took CDEC star player and coach, so it just seems weird to me that CDEC would use their banner if they don't have to.
There's the E-Blade making his debut, taking down Banana with that nuke damage. I'm not too sure about that. I don't know the delicate politics of you know, the Chinese scene.
Yeah, I guess they've always had close relations, and certainly to start with, CDEC were part of LGD. But yeah, it surprised me to see the LGD still written on the banners, unless they've like restarted their relations with the trade of, well, with the gift of maybe in Mikasa. Lion is going to catch out Queen of Pain. Is this a solo? No, it's not a solo kill, but
Sonic Wave does go down, but the Yules from Lion will keep him alive for just a little bit longer. Aggressive now goes in for the kill onto Moo. Good positioning and placement there of the pounce. The Morphling E-Blade, you know, it's killing people, but these supports are doing work. I was gonna come back to this Tidehunter. Have we seen a Ravage yet? I mentioned this 13 minutes into the game, and it's pretty much just no, we haven't seen it.
There was one Ravage at the bot lane, I think, in that fight where the Queen of Pain ended up dying. I mean, it didn't actually achieve anything, but he did use it one time. So yeah, he hasn't had any relevant Ravages, that's for sure. And
but
I gotta reiterate, like, Lion is just doing such an incredible job in this game. Starting from the early game where Lion is a difficult hero to do anything against Tidehunter with, but you know, pairing up with his Slark to kill the Tidehunter in lane twice, and then after that he got himself that fast Blink Dagger, and he hasn't wasted it for a second. He's been involved in setting up so many kills, Some of them even solo kills, and as I said earlier, look at his net worth compared to Queen of Pain.
Yeah.
You'd swear this was like a solo mid lane.
Oh, it's definitely not. Like, with the Titans Ravage, I don't think it's down to June. CDEC have done a really good job of playing around it. They've never put themselves in a position where they are, 5 guys standing around the tier 2, wailing away at the tier 2. There's never been an opportunity for June to jump in and get a big Ravage. They've always been juking and jiving, hiding around. They've got very elusive heroes, but it's all been about Newbee getting caught out when they've been over-aggressive, and CDEC then countering that, or CDEC being the ones that have smoked efficiently, gone and found pickoffs, and keeping their vision up. Right now, there isn't too much in the way of vision, as Aggressive's going to scout out the smoke movement from Newbee. Moo fighting up against the slug, but man, oh man, a solo Ravage from June. Not going to do too much when Aggressive just keeps on taking your stats. Banana gets hit by the E-Blade, and Shiki finishes off June with that one adaptive strike. And it looks like this is going to be somewhat of a clean sweep here from CDEC, as they take kill after kill.
Rabbit has just been beaten by 2 supports.
Lich and Lion.
Yeah.
The swap from Sansheng does manage to bring Rabbit out, but Aggressive is in the back end of play. Clockwork is maybe the only one to fall here for CDEC. He's dropping low, but there's nothing to finish him off. GG is even cool.
I mean, I was watching Rabbit fighting there. He has a BKB, and he lost the fight to a Lich and a Lion. I mean, he Omni-slashed, Lion just used himself. And most Omni-slash just hitting a used guy. A BKB Juggernaut lost to a Lich and a Lion.
Well, that's game number 1, guys, between LGD and CDEC. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with game number 2.
What?
Don't go
Newbee.
anywhere.
I
Stay
think you
tuned.
said LGD.
Sorry, Newbee. I had LGD on the mind. Newbee and CDEC. Oh man, it's been a long morning. It's been a long old morning. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.